it's very, very difficult to differentiate because I feel like there's significantly more competition across everything. There's more car makers now. It used to just be like the big three, right? Now there's multiple choices. You've got Rivian and you've got Tesla and, and all these other car makers, and they're all making the same claims too about all of the things that used to be unique. Like Tesla could be, we're the electric car. Now everybody's got an electric car, and, and we're growth and scale, but everybody's growth and scale, and everybody's got a book on growth and scale. It's so I think that the consumer is probably confused a bit. And so because there are more choices to make, more choices always prolong decision making. And so they're just kind of overwhelmed. And then the second thing is I think it's very difficult to make a truly compelling offer. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Business Lunch Podcast with your hosts Ryan Deiss and me, Roland Frasier. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really great. Just got back from a family vacation in Colorado where it's not swelteringly hot like it is here in Austin. And I know you... Skiing? Oh yeah, not skiing. No, it's hard to ski. And but we did do whitewater rafting, which was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, got soaking wet, freezing cold.
Awesome.
So
Have you done it before?
I did, yeah, man, but like 100 years ago when I was probably a lot closer in age to my oldest son than I am in age to me right now.
Nice.
So.
I bet you're very close in age to you right
now. Fair enough. And what about you? You were in jolly old London.
Yeah, in London. We did our what I would say is our very best Epic Network live. Basically, we have our mastermind that meets over there, and also have a couple people we invite to come. It was it's always pretty small because the venues are fairly different over there. But we had, I think, about 26 people, and we closed a deal live, which was awesome. One of our Epic board members that had been working on a deal for, I think, for 2 or 3 meetings was able to close it, and they wanted to do it live. So they actually came into the meeting and scheduled it so that during the middle of our meeting, we closed the deal. So everybody got to, high five and clink glasses. And that was really cool. And we did an exercise that was basically just kind of a reach out to your network exercise, not asking for anything, just touching base. And one of the people that was there was in the middle of a raise, and she raised an extra $200,000 in commitments while she was there just from that exercise. So that was like, it was just really cool. Like, sometimes everything is firing and everybody's into it and on fire, and it just goes well. That was how it was. So I thought it was especially fun because of that.
Very cool. But yeah, I was gonna ask what made it different, but you answered that question. So
good news too for all of you that are listening and watching. We want to thank you. We cracked into the top 200 podcasts in the world out of all podcasts, of which there are millions, last week, and that couldn't happen without you guys. And so thank you all for listening and watching and tuning in and sharing this with your friends and reviewing. We appreciate all of that stuff. And Ryan, thank you for being my co-host and making things happen here. It's really cool. Ryan texted me this morning because I sent him a couple ideas, and he's like, I finally have something to contribute. And I'm like, every week he sends me ideas for stuff. I'm like, you contribute all the time. So
well, I appreciate you letting me sidle in. Those, if you're a newer listener, this was Roland's podcast for a couple years.
Yeah.
You did it just like solo and interviewing people. And I was thinking about starting, my own podcast for, just to help support some of the other businesses. And it was like, why don't we focus on one? And that's what we've done. And, changed up the format. Instead of it being an interview, it's just us kind of talking about God knows whatever's meaningful to us that week. And it's been cool to see people respond and like the format. Because I do think there's a lot of interview shows. And man, it's just, they're kind of all the same. I know I get a little bit bored with it. Sometimes I just want to hear somebody else's take on something, even if I disagree with it. It's like just good to hear somebody's take. So
I think it's really fun. We're gonna try to step up our interviews so that we have kind of during the week, we've got you and me, and then we have an interview guest just to kind of add some of that too.
A little spice.
A little spice. But that's really cool though. So thank you all for doing that. We really, really appreciate that. It means a lot. And this week, I don't know if you saw what I sent you, but we were ranked. We were a little bit lower this week because you go up and down. But like the screenshot that I took, because you can only fit 4 podcasts on Apple's rankings into your into at least what I used to look at it, and it was Business Lunch, Simon Sinek, Tim Ferriss, and Reid Hoffman, Masters of Scale, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Those guys are all people that whose podcasts we listen to, and so it was really cool. I'm sure that they ravenously consume ours as well. I know Reed especially, he's always like, hey, send me another podcast. No,
Yeah.
he's never done that, but it's cool just to be in that little grouping. So that said, let's talk about something that will be actually of interest to people. And I was thinking, do you want to talk about the slow growth thing first, or do you want to talk about one of the ones that I sent over? What's your
because it's fairly new. I think I'm going to have more to share in the coming months, but we've got about 30 days on this test that we've been running. And I got enough data this morning to feel comfortable sharing what's going on. So I'll kind of set it up. We've been looking at our sales data, not just at the Scalable company, but really a digital marketer across a lot of our portfolio companies. And what we're finding is that conversion rates overall haven't changed that much over the last couple of years, whether it's direct consumer and it's online conversion rates, or, more of a sales first motion and it's, people talking to salespeople. Conversion rates haven't really changed. What has changed is the cost of acquisition of a lead and the time to sale. Like from when somebody becomes a lead to when they finally buy, like that just, we're seeing those get pushed back further and further and further. And
why do you think that is on the cost? I get it. Supply and demand, and plus, let's just say greedy Apple and Mark Zuckerberg and Google. But they do it because they can. More brands came in, a lot of, quote unquote, dumb money, throwing money at online ads, trying to figure it out. And, those guys are in and out all the time. So they artificially push up the, the rates. You've got the loss of the third-party cookie, which is definitely, I'm seeing that affect lots and lots of people right now. In terms of ad costs, I think that stuff kind of makes sense. What do you think is driving the time to conversion?
Yeah, increased sales cycles in general. I think it is consumers just getting more graspier with their dollars. Just people not wanting to part with the money. And I think a lot of this, we've talked about it 100 times. It's a function of interest rates being higher. It's a function of the government no longer giving out free money to everybody. You're seeing people's net worths go down. In a lot of cases, the amount of cash they have in their bank account is going down. Just look at inflation. Let's say everything is 20% more expensive than it was this time 2 years ago. Well, unless your income has increased more than 20%, it's just costing you more to live. You have less disposable income. So I think it's higher interest rates. I think it's higher inflation. I think it's people running through some of their savings. I think a lot of people overspent and overinvested during the boom times, and they didn't see the ROI. And so I think a lot of that's just coming home to roost. I think they're just getting more thoughtful.
I think that maybe two other things because I'm not sure what we can do about that first thing, but the other two, and then I want to get, because to me, these two things that you're talking about to start set everything up. But I think that one of them is that there is significantly more skepticism in marketing because pretty much all marketers are making the same claim. And so like in our space with Scalable, we show you how to scale and grow your business. It's like, but so does everybody else. So it's very, very difficult to differentiate because I feel like there's significantly more competition across everything. There's more car makers now. It used to just be like the big three, right? Now there's multiple choices. You've got Rivian and you've got Tesla and, and all these other car makers, and they're all making the same claims too about all of the things that used to be unique. Like Tesla could be, we're the electric car. Now everybody's got an electric car, and and we're growth and scale, but everybody's growth and scale, and everybody's got a book on growth and scale. It's so I think that the consumer is probably confused a bit, and so because there are more choices to make, more choices always prolong decision making, and so they're just kind of overwhelmed. And then the second thing is I think it's very difficult to make a truly compelling offer, because how, it goes back to differentiation and all the choices. But if you're selling water and there's 152 types of water on the shelf in front of you, why do I pick your water? Well, ours is made from hydrogen and oxygen. Oh, good. So is everybody else. Ours comes in a bottle. Ours comes in a plastic bottle. Ours comes in a box and says death on it. I mean, and that's a great example. Like how do you stand out? Water, liquid, death. How long does that last? I don't know, but it's niching down versus niching up. And so I think those are things we can do something about. And so you're speaking to something we can do something about, I think, which would be that second class. Is it differentiation? Is it sales process? What is it?
It's definitely more on the sales process side, because to your point, differentiation from a sales and marketing perspective, it's always going to have limited gains because it's out there for all to see, right? Yeah. So let's say you've got a truly unique mechanism, right? Like that's kind of what you were talking about before. We've got a unique mechanism. We're doing something totally new that nobody's ever done before. Okay, awesome, but it's there for all to see. Unless you truly have some type of defensible IP around it, patent, trade, somebody else is going to do it. They're going to knock it off. Even if they are, they're going to figure out a way to do it. Messaging is not defensible. Like they see you doing it, they can say the same thing. Like, so all of these things just get gobbled up.